So today's video is actually different than what I normally do. This is not a mukbang video. This is going to be a more serious video. It's going to be a sensitive topic, one of those sensitive, touchy topics that many don't like to talk about, or that they don't want to talk about, or they are ashamed to talk about it. So today I'm gonna share with you guys my story of dealing with infertility, and also pregnancy loss will be mentioned in this video as well. So if it's too sensitive for you, please don't go further in this video, because I know how that can be for those who struggle with it. But the reason why I'm making this video is because I know that there is someone out there battling the same things and pretty much thinking that they are alone when they are not alone. I'm right there with you, and I'm pretty sure there's other people out there that has similar issues as yours. So you are not alone, and this video is for you. So now let's get into it.
Welcome to Shamika Lachey's Effect. Y'all ready to catch my vibes?
I know it's been a while since you guys have seen me. I haven't posted a video in like 5 or 6 months. It's been a lot going on health-wise, which is the reason why I haven't been posting. So yeah, for those of you who are new to my channel or who would click on this video, and for those of you that do know, that has watched my videos, I'm gonna always repeat what my condition is, because like I say, it's always a new person that don't know. So when I do certain videos, I try to re-mention my situation so that people can know why I don't post as much. I do have an autoimmune illness that's called sarcoidosis, among other things. The autoimmune is pretty much the source of all my issues or other health issues that I have. Is the source, is the main thing that causes it. I also have endometriosis as well, and if you do not know what those are, pretty much with endometriosis, the tissue grows outside of your uterus and onto your organs. It can affect any organ in your body. And a sarcoidosis is pretty much when your body is filled with inflammation, and it affects the inside of the organ. So therefore, I'm battling with two things that is pretty much a life and death situation, because anything can happen at any moment. My body can literally shut down on me at any moment. So yes, that's what I've been dealing with and why I haven't posted in a while. So coming up, I've always dealt with illness. I've mentioned this in previous videos when I was talking about my condition. I'm bringing it back up because it's an important part to my story dealing with infertility. Like I was saying, when I was younger, I used to always deal with illness. Like, for example, when I was very young, I was dealing with womanly issues that I shouldn't have been dealing with at that age. This was like before I was a teenager. One of my major symptoms was that my breast used to leak milky fluid at a very young age. You go to the doctors, and of course they saying, stuff normal like that. Y'all know how doctors is, but every time I went dealing with that or other symptoms, they would always tell me that my symptoms were normal and that everything was okay. Doctors used to call me crazy and told me that I was over exaggerating about my symptoms and everything. So let's get into how I knew, how I know now that I've been dealing with infertility for years. Throughout my teenage years, I'm talking about from age 13 and up, throughout my teenage years, there were times that I was with certain guys during a time where we wasn't using protection and pregnancy would occur. But in my younger teenage years, I wasn't too knowledgeable about pregnancy. I just knew what I've heard from from close people, or either whether I read it, stuff like that. And I would have those symptoms that was spoken about or that I had read or researched about in that time. When I tell you my body was going through those symptoms, my body was going through some changes. And I'm not even like lying, but in that time, you guys, I had to keep that stuff to myself. You talking about childhood trauma, that's a whole nother story. That'll be a whole nother video. But due to my childhood trauma, I couldn't ask people that I was close to or bring it up. So I had to be secretive and hide it during that time. So I have to fast forward to age 17 when I was more knowledgeable of pregnancy. I had more knowledge concerning pregnancy by the age of 17. And then I'm going to go back to my younger teenage years because that's a significant part of my now, of how I knew all these years, or how I know now that infertility has been an issue of mine for all these years. At the age of 17, I was dating this guy. Of course, we was not using protection or anything. He had already had children at the time. He was older than me. I think he was like 24, or yeah, I think he was 24. I was about to say 24 or 25. I think he was 24 at the time. So he already had his experience with having children or being with somebody, you know what I'm saying, that done had a child or whatever. He was connected to that situation. So, y'all, I remember it like it was yesterday. My body was going through those changes that I was having in my earlier teenage years. I was even sick and stuff at the time. Like, it was crazy, and I was hiding it from him. What happened was I was avoiding his calls, and he ended up calling me. I don't remember if it was from a private number or something like that because I wasn't answering his calls. He ended up calling me, so he caught me. And when I answered the phone, he was like, Shamika, you pregnant? And I'm like, no, like just lying about it. I didn't tell him that I was thinking it or that I took a test or anything because at that time I didn't take a test or anything. It was just that those symptoms, based on the symptoms that I used to have in my earlier teenage years, that I knew, but I was going to eventually take a pregnancy test that day or whenever I was going to take it. So I lied to him, y'all, but he knew. So what was going on? He was having symptoms. And yes, the male can have a woman's pregnancy symptom, and he was having it. That's how he knew that I was pregnant at the time. So time went by. Of course, he knew, but I was lying about it. I kept telling him no every time he asked me. So one day, and like I said, I remember like it was yesterday, I bought a pregnancy test. And when I took it, of course, it was negative. So I'm like, okay, either it's too early or I'm just not, really pregnant or whatever. And not to mention, my period was late, and I'm always usually the like regular. I never had missed a period or anything. It was always on time. And around this time, my period was super late. So I took that test. It was negative. Okay, so I just put it out my mind and just didn't think about it no more. I was just like, well, maybe I'm actually not pregnant or whatever. So tell me why, y'all. Later on, this was like at nighttime, I started bleeding very heavy, heavy, TMI, very heavy to the point to where it was pouring out like water. It was uncontrollable. It was a lot. When I say a lot, think about water. So my period was so heavy to where it was like that, and it was so painful. And I knew right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm miscarrying. That's what went right into my head. Like literally, I'm like, oh my God, I'm miscarrying right now, y'all. And then after all of that, being on the toilet for hours, y'all, like I didn't even want to look in the toilet. I flushed it, and that just did something to me mentally that day. I never told anybody about this situation, not even him. So it's like, even if I was to see him years later and I was to tell him that, he already knew, but I lied and said that I wasn't, but he already knew because I told y'all he was having the symptoms. But yes, y'all, like I actually, that was my miscarriage right there. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't want to go to the doctor or anything. I just let it do whatever it did naturally. I've never said anything to nobody for years, but that was a devastating time for me, and that did something to me mentally. And at that point, I was just like, well, maybe I just can't have kids. Like I got to that point to where maybe I'm just not able to have kids, because after that situation on forward, somebody that I met, or if I ended up dating somebody, I would tell them I can't have no kids because of dealing with that. So because I dealt with what I dealt with at an early age, that's pretty much what I started saying, that I'm not able to have kids, I started speaking it. But it was, like I said, it was all from what I had to deal with and go through. And to go back, because it started at the age of 13, 13 to 15. That was a time that it happened as well, where my body rejected the pregnancy. It just shed it out like a regular period. And also, like I said, I explained that when I was 17, how that one happened. And then it was another time when I was 19, 18. I think I was 18 or 19 at the time. So that's why I was like, through the years, I've had some moments where it happened. And by the time when I hit 17 years old, I was more knowledgeable with the pregnancy thing at the time. So through all that I've been through and went through, y'all, ever since a young age, like I told y'all, since before I was a teenager, I dealt with womanly issues that I shouldn't have never been dealing with. And I was sick all the time. So going back and forth, now that wasn't happening then. I wasn't sexually active at that time, but I lost my virginity when I was 13, and I know that's too young. Don't, judge me, but I was just young and naive. But that's exactly when I lost my virginity, at the age of 13. I didn't start my menstrual cycle until I was 9.5, 10, and I had painful periods to the point to where I would vomit. I would get so sick, no medicine or nothing wasn't working. The cramps was bad. The cramps were so bad, like y'all, to the point to where you balled up in the floor. That's how bad my cycles was. And to add to that, the clots was so big. But I told y'all, when the medicine and stuff wasn't working, or if I would got sick, not just even dealing with my cycle, it was other stuff too. When I used to go to the doctor, oh, you just over exaggerate and ain't no way that the medicine's working and etc. They literally used to call me crazy, y'all, to the point to where my family thought that as well, thought like that about me. So you can imagine me not being able to go and talk to somebody, but I knew something was wrong. I kept telling the doctors that there was something wrong with me, but of course, oh, everything is all normal. So yes, y'all, childhood trauma, that trauma is real. So I had to deal with that throughout the years. But in all of this, being isolated and dealing with being sick all the time, it, I don't want to say it forced me, but it made me more in tune with my body. It made me pay attention to my body more, to where it got to the point to where, y'all, stuff that was happening, I can tell the doctors what was going on with me. And then when I would get checked out, this is like later on in life as I got older, it got to that point, dealing with all of that, all these years, to the point to where I was so in tune with my body that I can tell the doctors what exactly was going on with me. That was how in tune. And that wasn't nobody but God, because you being young, like, you don't know this stuff. But all these years, y'all, I knew something was wrong. So now let's get into the deeper part. We about to get into my diagnosis, what I was diagnosed with, that I identify with the reason why I was miscarrying or my body wouldn't hold the pregnancies. So fast forward, my husband, my now husband, we got married when I was 20. During our first year, we did try, I did get pregnant, y'all. And I keep telling y'all, and I know people gonna watch this video like, how did she know? Y'all, I knew it was a knowing. It was a intuition that I always had, that I just knew. So I did end up getting pregnant our first year of marriage. Y'all, that was the most trying, traumatic experience ever that I ever had, and he experienced for the first time. Yeah, I remember when we first got together, because I told y'all, I even told him that I was like, I can't have kids. Like, you get what I'm saying? I told him that it got to the point to where I didn't even want kids. But I had to pray about that because I was being selfish. I was already shutting down on my husband because that was such a sensitive thing to me and what I had to deal with and go through. But yes, y'all, I did get pregnant. Once again, my body, the whole shebang. Like, matter of fact, I'm going to add a picture in here to show y'all when I was pregnant. I was actually overdue, really. I'm going to insert the picture to show y'all like how swole I was. I got big and everything. Like I said, I had the symptoms. During that time, my period didn't stop. I was bleeding throughout the whole thing. But like I said, y'all, like it was a knowing, because once again, my body was going through all those changes and things like before. That's how I knew. But once again, taking the pregnancy tests, y'all, it didn't show up. They did scans, blood work, and it was not showing up. So I was in a place to where I'm like, what the heck is going on? Do y'all know, like, do you not know like what that does to a person? You going through this this battle, and you're not able to explain what's going on. You can't really put it into words, but telling people that you know that you are pregnant. But in society is different. They go by the norm, or what they know what pregnancy is to be, or what's been told, or what we've been taught, or what we learned. But for me, y'all, it was not the case. My pregnancies were not the norm. It was not the norm. I didn't get the belly. I was swole, but my stomach wasn't like out to here or anything. But yes, like I was swole. Like I had the symptoms. I was still having my periods, but they were heavy periods, and stuff not showing up in your blood work, or you get what I'm saying? Nothing isn't showing up. So it's like, what do you suppose to say? So in this time, y'all, I got to fast forward, because I'll be on here for a long time, going all the way into details. So what happened is, I got to the point to where, once again, okay, maybe I am crazy. Maybe I'm not pregnant. Blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? All of that comes in your mind. But I'm telling y'all, I knew that I was. And y'all, once again, I remember this also like it was yesterday. I got up, it was like it was a normal day. I did my regular routine. I was sitting there and I was watching my favorite TV show, which was Charm. I was watching some reruns. And then all of a sudden, y'all, I started having this pain. It was so unbearable, to the point to where I took the medicine. The medicine didn't work. And of course, I was bleeding at the time. So it was like my period got heavier. So to kind of go back a little bit before I get into that, I kept being misdiagnosed with bladder infections the whole time during this pregnancy. That's what they kept saying. But y'all, it was a bigger issue behind being misdiagnosed with the bladder infection. It was definitely a misdiagnosis. So to get back to what I was saying, yeah, like I was in pain, y'all, the whole time. It just came out of nowhere. And I just got to the point to where I couldn't deal with it. So I had to literally go over to the hospital, and they ran they tests and everything. Like, y'all, it was so bad. I had to get IV and everything. So this time they ran tests, but to remind y'all, I had already been getting tests, blood tests and everything that was going on, like during this whole time, during this pregnancy. But they never found anything, but supposedly the bladder infection. So when they did the scan this time, they found a huge cyst, literally. But of course, it wasn't like a normal cyst. It was huge. When I say huge, it was humongous, to the point to where they had to set me up an appointment to get surgery to get it removed. But so they still not thinking, oh, it's a pregnancy or anything like that, because on the scan you couldn't really see too much, but you could see it. So that's pretty much like what they diagnosed me with, just a regular ovarian cyst, y'all. But I'm telling y'all, it was more than that, and that's what I'm about to get into now. So months later, so now this is where I'm about to insert the picture. This is before I had to have surgery. Do you not see how swole I was and how big I was? Yeah, this was me before my surgery. But like I say, I continue to have that same, you know what I'm saying, the same pain and stuff during the time. So now fast forward to the surgery. So we going to the surgery. Of course, I'm knocked out. But when I come to it, when I get home, my husband told me everything, because they didn't even tell me everything, y'all. They didn't tell me everything until my follow up appointment. That's what happened. I had a follow up because, you know, when you have surgery, you have to have a follow up appointment. So what happened was, before I had the follow up appointment, my husband told me, the doctor was like, "Oh my God, like, how long has she been dealing with this?" And he told the doctor how long I was dealing with it. And the doctor literally said, "I don't know how she made it this far, y'all. I am not supposed to be here." I was supposed to die dealing with that, because I told y'all it wasn't a normal cyst. They couldn't see what was inside of it or anything when they was doing the scan. They couldn't see anything. So tell me why, fast forward, when I go to my follow-up appointment, y'all, she showed me that was my baby. The baby grew into and with the cyst, and I was overdue. So I was over the 9-month mark. So you see what I'm saying? All these years, what I've known was true. It didn't show up on a pregnancy test. It wasn't even showing up on scans, y'all, or in my blood work. None of what they was doing, it wasn't showing up. It showed up literally in the end. Literally. And I was like, oh my God, I knew it. Y'all, when I say I knew it, that intuition all these years, that was my baby. I finally I finally thought that I had the answer of what was going on, because in my follow up appointment, they diagnosed me with endometriosis. They found endometriosis in there. So remember, I told you guys, endometriosis, the tissue grows on the outside of the uterus, and on top of like your organs. It can damage any organ in your body. That was my first diagnosis, y'all, and that was in 20. I had the surgery in 2013, but I had a follow up appointment. I think it was in 2014. Because it was at the end of the month. So I had to wait some months until I had healed up for my follow up appointment. And that was when I found out. It had to be like at the beginning of the year for my follow up appointment. That was when I found out that I had endometriosis. And for those of you who don't know, endometriosis can cause pregnancy rejection. It can cause the baby not to implant. So you see what I'm saying? It that is pretty much evident of what I was going through, or what I know what I was going through, because y'all, I used to even tell the doctors during the years that I knew that I was pregnant, but it wouldn't never show or anything, but I was going through these symptoms. I used to tell the doctors, I feel like my body is rejecting. And they used to be like, what you mean rejecting? What do rejection sound like? So this is what I'm getting for the doctors, y'all. They wasn't no help. So I had to deal with this by myself all the way up until my husband came in the picture. He was by my side the whole time, y'all. And he can tell y'all what I had to deal with going through this. Because during the time, even after we tried after that, because I'm like, like at the point, like I really was at the point now to where I really wanted a baby, or you know what I'm saying, like we really wanted children at this point. So we continued to try through the years, and my body was still doing the same thing. This time listen, I know when I'm ovulating, I was like calculating, like I was on it, doing it at the right, you know what I'm saying, doing it at the right time. And throughout the time, in what, 20, I think that was in 2015. I had implantation, but once again, my body rejected it again. Around this time, I started getting what is it? The light lines, the faint positives. It's like the light line, but you can see it. I started getting those, but every time I would go to the doctor, it wasn't there no more. It seemed like my body just knew. Every time I made my appointment, when I got them lines, it was like my body knew, and my body would reject it. So it'd be like I was never pregnant. And I'm here to tell you today that for those of you who have dealt with that have actually seen a line, a light line, or had that, that faint line, you were indeed pregnant. It just shed it out. I just hate how the doctors say that you was never pregnant, or that you wasn't pregnant. That's a lie, because you can indeed be pregnant and it just shed out with your period every month. And that was what was happening to me, but the doctors in their terms, yes, I was, because it was a line there each time. Did I say sometimes I got the negatives and sometimes I got the faint lines. So that's what it was for me throughout the years. Then 2017? Y'all, I got pregnant with twins, but they completely dissolved. How can you explain that? Like, I can't even explain what happened. They was there, but then it was like that they wasn't there. These are the times that I was actually pregnant. The time when I was 17 that I told y'all first, the first time with me and my husband, the first year of marriage. And it was definitely some times throughout the years during our marriage. We've been married for 12 years. So throughout the years it's been happening, but they didn't stick. My body rejected those pregnancies each time, even to the point to where I couldn't even carry full term. Literally, y'all, my twins dissolved, and it's like they still don't have an answer for that, but they still don't know. So now, at this point, y'all, like, I'm tired. We've been trying all this time, and it just wasn't happening. So I went through some depression. I had anxiety. I've been diagnosed with PTSD and major depression because of all of this that I've dealt with. Like, my body had a traumatic experience health wise, dealing with everything that it has been dealing with, y'all. So at this point, 2017, when that happened, I just didn't want to try no more. And I just left it at that. It was too painful for us to even keep trying because we didn't want that to keep happening. I didn't want to keep putting my body through that, y'all. So now fast forward to 2019. Y'all, I got pregnant, and it was super early because that time my period was late, but this time, y'all, I was real sick. Like I say, each time, like, I have those symptoms, but this time I was like really sick to the point to where I was having issues with my eyes, y'all. Like, it was terrible. So I did take a pregnancy test, and that one had the faint line. It was a visible faint line. You can see it. But when I went to the doctor, of course, my body does what it always do. It didn't show up. But when I showed the doctor, she even said she saw the line. I took a picture of it. She saw the line. So what she did, she was like, I've had patients like this. And I'm sitting up here like, finally, because every doctor that I done got, they ain't, you know what I'm saying? They trying to act like that it doesn't never happen. But this lady, thank God, finally, the right doctor, she was like, I'm going to prescribe you a nausea medicine that only pregnant people can take. She was like, because it can just be too early, and that's why the line, not darker yet, because it's that what is the HCG for the line to get darker. So she was like, your HCG could be low and it could be too early. So she was like, we don't want to harm the baby. She was like, because I definitely see the line. She was like, give it a week and see if it'll get darker. Y'all, it didn't. It got lighter. So that time I had my follow-up appointment, the line had gotten lighter, but you can still see it. Y'all, this doctor, he was a young doctor, and it pissed me off. I showed him the test, but I was like, it's getting lighter, and I'm just trying to, trying to confirm a pregnancy or whatever. He was like, oh yeah. He was like, you're not pregnant. I was like, it even looked like that on the box. What is you talking about? Y'all know it's even on the box that said that even if the faint line, it looked it just like on the box. It was visible enough for you to see it. And he was like, oh yeah, this means you not pregnant. When I say y'all, that pissed me off. It pissed me off. I was so hot. But of course, they did do the blood test. And it was what it was. My body did it. It rejected the pregnancy. So I had to have another follow up because I told you I was having issues with my eyes. I was sick and there was other issues going on. So I saw another doctor. And when I was talking to him, he was like, yeah, I checked your levels. He was like, so you never been pregnant. And I was like, that's a lie. I have been pregnant. Telling him about my history and everything. But that's what I say. Doctors will always say, oh, because this, he said, because it was at a zero. He was like, he put it like, all my life I haven't been pregnant, y'all. Yes, I have. And y'all, boy, when I say I had a time with these doctors, I had a time with these doctors. I was about to cuss him out, but I held my cool. I had to stay strong because I was already sick and everything, and it was just too much. So tell me why, y'all, he was typing in the information in the back and I was getting ready to draw blood again. When he came back to me, guess what he said? He was like, I am so sorry. He was like, I was sitting at my computer and it dawned down on me. He was like, you said that you've been dealing with rejection. And he was like, it came to me an autoimmune disorder. He was like, so I'm going to refer you to a rheumatologist for them to run some tests to see if I have an autoimmune disorder. And I was like, okay. I ain't cuss him out, but y'all, he literally had to come back and apologize to me because he just threw everything. Like, that ain't how you respond to nobody. Like, they don't be caring. I was like, that wasn't nobody but God that had to check him because he was wrong. But yeah, y'all, he literally had to come back and apologize to me. So fast forward, I did have my rheumatology appointment and they did the test, and it was indeed an autoimmune disorder. And that was when I was diagnosed with the sarcoidosis. So that right there, it set the whole thing off that finally give you that piece to the puzzle that you been seeking all this time and trying to figure out what's going on. When I talked to her, y'all, and I was telling her my history about the pregnancy losses and everything, and guess what she said? She said, yes, she was like, that's the autoimmune disease because with the autoimmune disease, it rejects the good for your body, mostly the good, sometimes the bad. She was like, yeah, she was like, your body gonna deal with some rejection. She was like, that's indeed what it sounds like that's been happening all this time from what I've been explaining to her, y'all. And I was like, I knew it. It just blew me out the water, y'all. I could have sued these doctors, but this was such a traumatic experience for me. It was too much. It was too heavy. I was so stressed out. Y'all, it was just too much. I just let it be. I could have sued these doctors for that because they kept misdiagnosing me. So y'all, when they diagnosed me with the endometriosis in 2013, 2014, remember I told y'all they kept misdiagnosing me with a bladder infection and that wasn't it. Wasn't it? I told you I had to end up having surgery. What happened was And it's crazy. I didn't find this out to get, 2 years later. And they was, I had that surgery already. I had to have a scan, a ultrasound. And you know how some doctors mention certain things in your chart, but it be certain things in your chart that you don't know. She mentioned my surgery from when she was doing the ultrasound, because they be asking these questions. She was like, she was saying about the situation with the cyst being over my bladder. Y'all, the baby was on top of my bladder. The cyst that it grew in, it was sitting on top of my bladder. The that was causing the bladder infection. So it wasn't really just it was because it grew over my bladder. But I had to add this clip in here when I was talking about being misdiagnosed with the bladder infection, when I said that I had to have the ultrasound done. When the lady was telling me what was in my charts, I didn't know that was in my charts. I just knew about an ovarian cyst, but I found out that day when she was doing this ultrasound, my baby, it was above my bladder. That's why I was like, it was causing the bladder infection. So I just had to add that in there to kind of to clear up what I was saying, so that you can understand that I was saying. I didn't know that it was above my bladder. It was there the whole time. That's why they never saw the baby or anything on the screen. And that's why they mistaked it for the cyst and for my blood. They was mistaking it for my bladder, actually. That's why it was like it was never showing up. It was always there. But until it got like so big, that was when they was able to see it. They couldn't mistake it for my bladder anymore. So that's what happened with that situation. The sarcoidosis was the main cause of the bladder infection. The autoimmune disease is what's been causing everything, every illness, sickness. Even if I get an infection, that's the root cause of everything. This has been what's been going on with my body, y'all. So to get that information, to know that you actually wasn't crazy, you wasn't making stuff up, and you just knew all this time. And I told y'all, every time something happens or something wrong, it's like I can tell the doctors before they even say what it is, and it be exactly what I tell them that it is. That's how in tune God has allowed me to be with my body since a young age, everything that I've been through. So to finally get that, y'all, it was such a weight lifted off my shoulders. Y'all, it was a crazy journey. And I know this video probably all over the place, but that's my story, y'all, dealing with infertility. So now, today, since 2019, we couldn't try no more because I had to be on birth control to keep the inflammation under control, because there's a lot of inflammation in my body. So from 2019 all the way up now, how long is that? 2019. So 5 years. 5 years now. It's been 5 years I've been on the birth control. Well, 5 or 4 years that I've been, 4 or 5 years that I've been on the birth control. And they always ask, are we trying, or if I could be. I'm like, no, like I'm on birth control. I can't do nothing. My rheumatologist even said, she was like, no, she was like, right now, because it's like that risk that my body gonna do the same thing, and it's gonna cause more inflammation. So if I was to try to get pregnant within the time doing me having the inflammation in my body is going to do the same thing it's been doing these years, throughout the years, y'all. My body would continue to reject the pregnancies. So that's where I'm at today. So now, because y'all, I'm getting older. I'm getting ready to be 33 years old on June 4th. And you know what they say when you get in your 30s or when you reach 35, that your chances to get pregnant is slim. So now I have to do something. If I can do something to put this inflammation under suggestion just to try for a baby, so that you get what I'm saying, so that we can try for a baby, because while the inflammation is present, my body is going to do what it's been doing all these years. So that's my next step. Now, y'all, I'm trying to get everything under control. I'm working on my health, because dealing with this illness, all the stuff that I deal with, is taking a toll on my body. And I'm just like, I need to do something before these conditions affect all of my organs to where you get what I'm saying, to where I can't do nothing. So my plan is just to get my health together. Everything is not set in stone, but that's definitely my next step. I don't know whether we're going to do IVF or if we're going to try naturally again first, just to see. But y'all, I done been through so much. I don't even want to put my body through the process that you have to go through, and you have to wait it, you know what I'm saying, wait it out, when it comes to trying to conceive naturally. I think that we're going to need some help. So we might look into IVF, to have some children. So yeah, like that's pretty much my next step. Right now, I'm just working on getting back to good health, and trying to get this inflammation under control. Because if I can either get put on something when we do want to try, or when we want to do the IVF to quiet down the inflammation, it should work. So that's the next step. That's my infertility story that I wanted to share with you guys, and I wanted to bring you guys along this journey. Of course, it's not going to be a video posted every day, but whether it's dealing with the infertility or my health in general, I want to be able to keep you guys updated and posted, because I know it's someone out there that's going through the same thing that I'm going through, or even worse. It can be the same but different, or either in a different way. So that's the reason for this video, you guys. And that's it. I just want to get up here and talk about it, and embark on a new journey. So y'all will be seeing videos regarding to my health, and of course dealing with the infertility when I have appointments, if I have to get certain things done or certain surgeries or whatever I have to do. I will be posting videos on that from now on. Right now I can't do any mukbang videos because, like I said, dealing with what I deal with, it affects my body in many different ways, and I have bad digestive issues, and that's what I'm dealing with right now, to the point to where I actually have to get my gallbladder removed. See, like, you see what I'm saying? It causes a lot of stuff. It's to the point to where my gallbladder is not even functioning properly. I just found that out today. So that's it for this video, you guys. Please like this video, comment on this video, share it, and also subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified each time that I upload a video. If you have some questions about anything or if you want to ask me anything, just comment down below. And yeah, and that's it for this video.